Hey,
everybody.
Yeah.
How you
hey,
doing?
hey.
How you doing?
Good.
All right. So we're missing one person tonight.
Yes, Miss Janine.
Janine. So you're missed. You're missed dearly. So I'm sure she'll be back with us next week. How's everybody doing? We have a special guest today, but before we get to her, let's find out
Yes,
what everybody else is doing. So what's going on, Pastor Rick?
doing fantastic. Loving life. Over here, just enjoying the nice weather for a change in Cali.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Hosea Collins.
You know what it is. I can't wait to get on this topic so we can help some folk and straighten out others.
Help some and then straighten out others. All right, all right. Well, I'm so excited. We have Mrs. Arce, Rick's wife, with us tonight. We're going to tackle some of these questions, and she's going to weigh in with her thoughts and suggestions with some of the stuff that we really should be asking before we're married. But before we tackle that, again, like, subscribe, share. Guys, okay, come on now. We're waiting for some of those letters to come in. We would love to bring you on live. We would love to bring you on live to answer your questions, your message in a bottle questions. Zandra S. Wilson at yahoo.com. If you want to be a guest on our show, like Miss Arce, this is Arce, or if you know somebody who needs to be a guest on the show, if you want to be anonymous on the show, whatever the case may be, fill out the query form inside of the information section of our YouTube channel, Butterflies Entertainment, which is where most of you should be watching this show. And for those of you who are watching on other platforms, we're highly suggesting that you go over to YouTube and watch us over there. It's just more information, and that's eventually where we're going to be completed. That's just where you're going to find us. Okay. Right. So again, this is Ships, the relationship show where we chronicle the difficult and hidden world of true to life relationships. So we're going to just dive right into it. So guys, anything that I know we kind of left off last week, we left a cliffhanger almost.
Yeah, we did.
For those questions. So we're going to pick right on up.
This is part two. This is part two.
Part two. Uh-oh. I'm ready. Let me get my.
Let's dive into this. We got a slew of questions, last week we left off on one, but I'm just going to continue. Start over tonight. So let's go. Number one.
Wow.
Where do you see yourself in the next 20 years?
People don't know where they're going to see themselves.
We sure.
They don't even know where they're going to see themselves tomorrow, right?
In the next 20 minutes.
Come on.
Right. This is a question, and it's a loaded question because the fact is people don't plan.
Right.
They don't plan, and they could say, well, I want to be retired. I want to be, with a family, the whole 9 yards. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think anybody really plans out or sees himself in the next 20 years. So it's a loaded question because you don't know if you're going to get a straight answer.
Okay, so this is interesting that you and Miss Arce, did you discuss that before you got married?
No. No, we discussed that.
No.
What did we discuss?
Again, where we see it, maybe 5. Definitely not 20.
So why do you think 20 is important as opposed to 5 or 10 or 15, Pastor Collins?
I think it's not just so much about the years as much as it is about the vision.
Right.
I think it's important to know the direction of a person's life as it relates to what their target is.
Okay.
What they're aiming for, right? Like you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. But to know the direction of someone helps you to evaluate if you guys are headed in the same direction.
Sure.
Like if their vision is contradictory to where you're trying to go, it's not enough for you and I to have chemistry. If our destinies aren't related at all,
right,
this may be a problem. And I put it this way. As a man, I ask, if any man asks a woman for her hand in marriage,
right,
he's literally asking her to trust me with your future.
Yeah.
I'm building something together that you need to be a part of.
Right.
I see us making a great life together. So if he's asking for her hand in marriage, he's saying, "Come and go with me."
To my father's house.
You don't think she has a right to ask, "Where we going?"
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Before you go with him, like that's the heart of this question.
Yes, sir.
You're asking me to go with you when I don't even know where you're going or where you're trying to go.
That's the truth. Okay.
No, and that's good to know, because the fact is, just like, and I'll put myself out there, when I, asked before I even asked, I was like, Lord, if she's for me, let me know. And I told you the story. I lost my job. I was looking crazy. I was like, yo, she must not be the one. It's not time, whatever. But when I went to her and explained my situation, the simple words that she gave was like, okay, what's the plan? What's the plan? That set me up in my mind. It's like, I got to have a plan if I want to move forward. It was just a setup. And you were on target when you say it. The plan, what is it? And I got a plan together.
And just like you said, to have, you may not know the next 20, but at least at least start somewhere with the first 5, because things can change. You'll change, your vision can change, or it'll just, shape out a little differently than maybe when you first started. So 20 is a long time to, because like you said, things change. And trust me, us being married over 20-something years, it has changed multiple times, but at least have a general idea where you're going.
Excuse me,
like
I don't know how to take that
confidence, that faith, and that it's gone in many different directions. But it's kept it exciting. It's kept it fun. So,
and that's true, because both of you guys, when you got married, you weren't anticipating on being ministers, right? Was that wasn't a part of your event? So that's a fair statement. That was not even, and that's what your whole life is now.
I never thought of ever being married to a pastor. That wasn't even in. I believed in God. I went to church, maybe Christmas and Easter, and so we were not faithful every Sunday church. I mean, when I got older, I started going a little bit, but I was not raised in a church like a lot of people. So to think of married to a pastor, not even close. But again, I started working, at our church school, and it just kind of transitioned into all of that. But I was working at the school. It wasn't a church thing. So when I met him, it just snowballed from there. But I think the foundation, me working at my church school, helped prepare me to be married, because I worked under my pastor and his wife. So that prepared me for being with the pastor, because I saw a lot, what they had to go through and how they handled things. So God was setting it up, I think, the whole time.
Right.
So, but if I had to predict where I'd be in 20 years, I mean, I have friends that are like, I've dated a drug dealer in the past. They're like, you went from a dope dealer to a hope dealer, because it was.
See, I love this. Look, listen to what she just said, to what we just realized. Although, and for transparency, when I got married back in 23 years ago for the first time, I had no idea where we would be. Years. Like I didn't have that vision for my life. But I think one of the things that we were just blessed, me and my late wife, as well as Rick and Colette, that we were blessed by God to have married people that were headed in the same direction.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't have the wherewithal of knowing it. But a lot of marriages come together that are not headed in the same direction, even though they may not know it. And what often happens, they find out much later in that what I want out of life is contradictory to what my spouse is wanting.
Wow.
And it creates this. That's why when people say we grew apart, this is kind of what they're referring to in many things. Like, my happiness is your sadness.
Right.
Wow. That's good.
That's it.
But I think, like you said, it goes back to that being equally yoked too. People think, oh, it's no big deal. I think that made a big difference because there were, like I said, a lot of people I dated in the past that were not even saved. And I don't only could imagine what a marriage to some, that marriage would have looked like. So being that fact that we both were in church, headed the same direction, like you said, not maybe knowing exactly where, but not saying it doesn't work for some people, but I feel like you're setting yourself up for more problems when you're not, because when you're that's real big. When the word says equally yoked, it makes. I mean, I know people who are and aren't. And the ones that aren't, maybe in the long run, they might get on the same page. One was saved, one wasn't. Sure. But it created, they went through a lot of before they got on the same page.
What they go through?
And some didn't make it.
What do you mean?
Stop it, Rick.
Number two.
Two. Okay. How's their relationship with their children or ex-spouse? So what are they going to say? I don't like them.
I mean, okay. No, we discussed this before. Remember,
you gotta observe it, right?
Yeah, but
spouse, they're gonna tell you about that.
Yeah, they're gonna tell you right there. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot to say. Yeah, because keep in mind, you come into the marriage, let it be male or female or whatever that looks like on either side. The children may not like you. They may not like you. They may not pretty much put up with you. They may not like how the type of person you are. They may not like you. And the person you do decide to get with, hopefully,
right,
your love can overtake,
the
pretty much what the kids say or whatnot.
Right.
And so that comes into play.
Yeah, and it's not you asking them, so tell me how's your relationship with, like, there are more tactful ways. So you told me you have a son. So how is he doing?
So you can't ask this right like that. So, relationship.
Do your son like you? Like, I wouldn't.
And you'll see it, I'm sure. Like you said, do the kids come around? Are they spending time with the kids or are they estranged from their kids? So that will tell you a lot right then there too.
Yeah.
Come on, Dwayne. It's hard enough if you are equally yoked. I know that's right. If two should walk together, I mean, how can you agree if two don't walk if you're not walking together? Scripture.
Absolutely. Yeah. But this whole ex-spouse thing, you got to do your homework on that, and that's for everybody because you don't know what you're getting into.
Fault.
Right. Number 3.
Yeah, because number 2 has to do with baggage.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
This is good. What are your deal breakers and barriers? Okay, let's start with you, Cole. This is our say.
And you're talking about just the dating.
Before you get married, when you're talking to whoever
you get married, what would your deal
breakers and what are the barriers?
Well, again, they're real different from pre-saved to saved. Once I got under God's anointing and blessings, it became real different. So it became that you had to be saved. That was for me. Before, I never even thought of that. I mean, when people say they believe in God, it's like, okay,
what does that mean?
Not really seeing how they live in their life or what have you. Good thing, like I said, we met in church, so I was like, well, if he's playing, then he playing a whole bunch because he here every Sunday and Wednesday and whatever other days we had events on. So that was for me. You had to believe in God. And Jesus as your Lord and Savior, not just God generalized, because that could get misconstrued and confused as well.
Right.
Again, just deal breakers. You had to be respectful. Just they like I said, that was the main thing. Just like I said, loving the Lord, and I believe once you did that, a lot of that other stuff falls into place, like being respectful. To me, your mother, the women, in your life, that was important to me, because how you treat other women,
right, is
going to eventually translate over into me. So I want to see. He had a lot of aunts, and he reverenced, crazy as some of them may have been, he still honored them and respected them, and was maneuvered beautifully.
So you say if he can honor crazy women, he can show enough honor me.
Wait a minute.
Just saying.
Oh wow, man! Look,
I love him.
when it comes down
I
to
do.
deal breakers, no, for me, at the time, what was the deal breaker? I didn't want a whole bunch of kids. I didn't want, no disrespect for folks with kids. I just
You
didn't,
wouldn't
because
you
I
wouldn't
thought
marry
of
me
money.
to
I'm
have
like,
5 kids. You wouldn't marry me to have 5
no,
kids.
ma'am. No, ma'am. You would have been by, you're lonesome. You would have, you and your 5 kids. No, ma'am.
Yeah,
I
she
couldn't
wouldn't have been
afford
by
you.
lonesome. She wouldn't have been by lonesome. She got 5 kids. She ain't
I
lonesome.
get, there you go. Right. Yeah. No. Jose, I thought personally, it's like, okay, I knew what everything I wrote down that I wanted in a wife. Everything. I just wrote everything down. And and I keep telling my singles, write everything you want from the bedroom to the kitchen to the career, all of that. The physique, the attributes, all of that. Character, what you want. Write it down. But keep in mind, you got to meet that same criteria too. You just can't be sitting there saying, "Oh, I want this," and you want him with the 8-pack, but you got a keg. Come on.
Absolutely.
That's
Come
funny.
on. It's true. But this is one of the practices that we have to understand. The barriers for me, I was pretty open personally. And it was not necessarily anything that was off limit, not talking about or whatever, or barriers that I had necessarily. Because the truth of the matter is, if you irritated me or you crossed that barrier, of course, let's keep it real. There are times that people they can call each other out their name. That was a big no.
For sure.
On that level, no,
Absolutely.
not happening.
No talk, nothing physical. Even if you joking, don't be tapping me and none of that physical.
Right.
None of that stuff.
Right. Now, I think to relate to you about, you got to also live up to that list. I often say it this way.
Yes, sir.
Butterflies don't date caterpillars.
I love it.
That's good.
I love it.
Become a butterfly before you look to hook up with a butterfly.
Good stuff, Hosea.
Right.
Now we're looking at these questions. We're dealing with questions that you should have the answer to.
Yes.
Before you say I do.
Yeah.
So these are not necessarily first date type questions, but it's saying before you marry someone, these questions should be covered.
Yeah.
You should know these answers, and they should know these answers about you. So when we're talking about deal breakers, I think it's important for people to know you can't have a list of deal breakers where you say, hold on, let me give you my deal breakers.
Right.
You open up scrolls.
Right.
Like deal breakers are, because you're not finna meet someone who's perfect.
Right.
Because you're not perfect. So we're talking about deal breakers. We're talking about the non-negotiables.
Sure.
Like this ain't nothing for us to get counseling about.
Sure.
This ain't nothing to apologize. This ain't, if you cross this line, you have disrespected this covenant to the point we can't move any further. Deal breakers. So when I look at deal breakers, deal breakers. I look at infidelity.
Yes.
It's a deal breaker. It ain't nothing to talk about with me. I can't speak for nobody else.
Yeah.
I look at blatant disrespect, especially publicly. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like things of that nature. When you're just a compulsive liar.
Yeah.
And I can't trust you.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
These are deal breakers. And now barriers are things that you need to work out in your relationship before you say I do, because this always happens. People tolerate certain things when they're dating that they want to put their foot down about when they get married.
Yeah, literally, the altar becomes an alterer. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like I tell people, I do, don't change who I am.
Right.
So if he was or she was doing this the whole while you were dating, don't expect because you walk down the aisle that just disappears.
Yeah, but so many people do.
Yeah, we're going to counseling about that, and I'm sure you do too, Hosea, where when they come to you, they won't express their deal breakers or their barriers. And so they go in, and funny, my cousin's on, and he asked the question, what is out of my name? You know what's out of your name.
He knows.
No, we don't.
Yeah, but no, it's one of those things that you do have to be very, very careful. As I said, not to make up something in the marriage and get everything out before the marriage. What are your deal breakers? What is the no? What are your pretty much your barriers? Can I say this? What are your triggers? That pretty much
That's important.
line up, with your barriers, because there may be a trigger you have to work through. And we've seen that. Absolutely.
And sometimes you don't know what people's triggers are until later on in the relationship, you know?
Sometimes they don't know what their triggers are. And some of the deal breakers, you may isn't it would you guys say it's safe to say that sometimes, because you don't know everything before you get married, and then once you're married, some stuff come up that can be a deal breaker.
Yes.
It would have been a deal breaker before you married the person.
Oh yeah, we've been through that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
No, I'm not being naive that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That means either somebody has been being completely deceptive.
Sure.
Or the other person has been assuming and being completely naive.
Or like this comment right here, or they changed over time.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one, Colette, because I have a friend where it was extreme, where he her husband, I think his father was murdered, and it's a lot of stuff going, and it just, a lot of stuff happened, and he just checked out.
Yeah.
And with that checking out came a lot of bad behavior.
Yes.
And she understood where it was from. Yes. But then it's like, man, you can't handle stress because you don't really know. Like if a person this one lady in Chicago lost all of her kids to gang violence. Like, how do you? All of them to gang violence, and only one of them was actually in the gang. The other 3 were just murdered. Okay. And then the comments were, "Why don't you just move?" She couldn't afford to move.
Right.
Oh.
So I just say something like that. Usually, the loss of a child is very difficult for marriages, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Stay together behind stuff like that.
Yeah, there's those things, and those are the things that we're talking about, earlier, where even last week, when things change, what do you do with that? How do you maneuver?
We should have a whole show, like how, because some stuff you don't know how you're gonna act. You really don't.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of went through that, I don't mind Rick mind me sharing, but you guys know he didn't grow up with his father. And we didn't know that, I think, until we started trying to have kids, I think, where the rubber hit the road, where he started realizing, hey, I want to get in touch with my dad. And then I told him, like, you sure you want to do that? You want to open that can of worms, because it could be a good thing, or it may not be so good. So whatever you open up, just be ready for. Right. And it took him into a tailspin. And I had no idea it was, he was battling with that, not being raised by his father for so long. That's and we were 10 years into our marriage?
Yeah, about 10 years. Yeah. And so once I did reach out, why are you taking me here? So once we did reach out, I did reach out.
Somebody.
It opened up some things I never thought of. It wasn't
right.
And so in saying that, how he died and so forth, that really triggered me. And so I had went through just a crazy moment where it's like, okay, I need to rebalance myself in the Lord, for the lack of better words. And it takes you on some head trips if you're not prepared for it. Yeah. And so, even as I said, us, not being able to have kids and so forth, we had to maneuver through that. That was 10 years into our marriage. Then this thing comes along.
That wasn't anticipated, right?
Right. It's not, certain things are not anticipated, but you just work through it. Where, when a D word came up in our marriage, where it's like, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what the D word in marriage is, go look it up. Right.
Yeah. Not dummy, divorce. No.
Not dummy.
Not dummy, divorce.
Yeah, that's really good. And just, you guys know, obviously I just stepped away for a little while.
Yeah.
Most of you guys know my father has dementia. So he had left the house, was walking on down the street. So I had to, and during our live broadcast, just even being here with him, certain things you don't know you need, or that's even there.
Sure.
You just don't know.
Sure.
You just don't know. And I often think about that. And I've shared this too with the squad. I'm like, man, I don't know because one of the things with me marrying, I said, man, if my husband gets dementia, could I do this again? And then Pastor Jose, of course, your thing is like, I always look at the positive, but I'm like, that still kind of sits because of how extremely hard this is.
Sure. Sure.
What if you get
About that.
dementia?
I told Rick
Then
I'm
he's
putting him in
gotta
the
deal
home.
with
No, I'm just kidding. I already told
What
him.
if you get
You in
dementia?
the home.
Oh, I don't. This is what I'm saying. For me, I would just put me in a home because and I told him to play some Christian music. And so I don't want any. That's Zandra though. I
Yeah.
would not want
Yeah.
my husband, but that's his choice because
Yeah.
my personality, how I am, and woo child.
Yeah.
You right.
I
He
know
got to
that.
deal with
I already know
you
off the bat.
healed and healthy.
But I agree with you, Zandra. I say I feel the same way. I mean, unless you want to do it,
Whatever.
it's
I'm
a lot of
sorry
work.
for that.
No, I agree with you.
They making fun of me, sis, but that's okay.
No,
Go ahead.
but I agree with you. I'm like, if it's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. And I don't even think necessarily I have a difficult personality, but it's a lot of work because that changes you and it changes your personality and it changes who you might have been as an original person because your memory's gone and you don't remember, you know, you can't recall.
You don't know. You think you're being hurt, and then I'm mobile, I'm physical. Like my dad is he get up and go, and he moving quick, quick, right? So, and I am physical, you know, exercise and all that. So I'm like, man, they'll have a difficulty. They'll have to have me locked up someplace. But I just pray, like, Lord, I don't want to be that burden. And I know my husband.
I'm gonna tell you straight out, best not put me in a home. You gonna
You
deal
going
with me.
right to the home. I will come sing Christian songs to you.
No, you won't. You won't even. I don't even know who you guys are.
You won't, but I'll remind you. I'm gonna play Ship Squad. Look, Rick, that's you. Rick, that's you. On the video.
So that you gonna get in trouble. You miss out.
Hey, look, but these are real conversations that most people never have prior to get. Look, I'll give you other just simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You've been married umpteen years. One of y'all's little brother has been incarcerated the entire time of your marriage.
Yeah,
that's getting released and has nowhere else to go.
Come on now.
His only surviving relative.
That's good. I know.
Tell your spouse they need to come live with us. See, we don't talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know that that's going to be but pastor, you don't know when you get married that could be a possibility.
No, it's always a possibility. Like this.
Let me say no. But what the reason
to have those conversations?
What I'm going with, I just used my dad. It was so many people that was before me to take care of him. Everybody having to die off. You know what I'm saying? I was never. You guys know that. I was coming here kind of do a little. Now I was going back to LA. It was a whole list of people in front of me that was supposed to look after my father. Never did I think I would be the last and only choice before he would go into a nursing home.
Sure.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So before I left, I'm like, you know, so some things it never even crossed or dawned.
Zandra, I hear what you're saying, but you're only thinking about you. You're married to somebody else. See, it still needs to be a conversation. It may not be your dad. It may be his mama.
Right.
It may be like this is what I'm talking about, the conversation.
Right.
To me, the answer, I don't have an answer of whether we should or we shouldn't.
It should be talked about.
The answer relies on whatever it is.
Right.
That goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can't be yes to my mama and no to your daddy.
What about if it's your mama and your kid?
What
that came up. Okay, an example would be this came up in a conversation. So let's just say, okay, my dad has dementia, and let's say we have a little bit of money, and let's say there's an experimental treatment, but it's $1 million that can keep him alive, that can actually reverse it. It's possibility can reverse it and maybe give him another 20 years. How I feel, that's my dad. Money is not an option. I want to use the money, the $1 million. Where I'm just throwing money out to help him. Let's say, so he may say that's stupid. That's stupid. He died.
Your husband.
If it's my husband, yes. If it's my husband, he may not. How men think logically, y'all like that's stupid. He's 75.
This is my point.
So what I'm saying is that logically, you may say that's stupid. We have to agree on it. But let's just say logically, okay. But if it's your child, flip it around and let's say they need some type of surgery that's experimental, right? So and let's say it's $1 million. You're like, that's Roman. So Roman is 22. Yeah. And we're keeping them out of, so to you, that's logical. But to me, I just use myself because I don't have children. That's my father, that's my dad. It's the same connection, is what I'm trying to say.
And I'm not, I guess what I'm saying, that's not what I'm debating.
Okay.
I'm not debating whether you should or you shouldn't. I'm debating. This is the reason there needs to be conversation. Like
how do you bring it up?
Huh?
How do you bring up something that's not even an issue at the time?
If I'm going to marry you,
yeah,
and that's why we're having this show, to educate people.
No, what I'm saying is
that
if there's some certain things that may happen that you may not have even discussed before you got married. So
that's what I'm saying. Is that before you're talking about once somebody's married, or just before you get married that you have a sick?
All of these questions are before you say I do.
So you're saying
that's the week before, whether that's when we engage, whether that's somewhere when we in serious courtship,
whether even at the altar.
Type of conversations don't happen enough, and what happens when it does happen? Nobody's prepared. Not that you can ever be fully prepared, but there was never no kind of understanding in place where versus okay. We knew, we've always talked about if anything like this happens, it creates some level of government versus it just tearing us apart because we're on full opposite spectrums and we never even knew we felt differently until the purpose of this show is to educate people and prepare them.
No, I hear you. I hear you, Pastor. I hear you, Pastor. Let's just take COVID for an example. So many people divorced during COVID. So you have to ask yourself why. That was an unprecedented something that no one could have there was nothing you can discuss about the COVID situation. How do you even discuss that? So then you have to say, okay, how do you even, because it went back to.
Well, let me I see what you're saying. Let me go here.
Okay.
I would say, remember your vows.
Yeah, I question people's foundation. I'm not being funny, but we got on each other's nerves during COVID, but it wasn't enough to get a divorce about.
I agree.
Like, you're at home working. That communication is key. It's like you work upstairs, I work downstairs, and we meet in the middle at some point.
I don't like you right now.
Yeah, I mean,
trust me. When you sit there, it's like, look, man, this is a lot.
I question.
I agree.
I agree with that too. I can't argue that. It says a lot to the foundation. And again, there will be things that will happen that we will not be able to know it was going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. No. I'm saying we're having this show, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now that you know what you know, because you've been on this show, you still ain't gonna talk about dementia to your future husband prior to? I mean, knowing this, you still not gonna have a conversation?
Well, let me say this. Sorry, go ahead.
You don't know.
Even if they talk about it, though, their mind could change when it actually happens.
It can, but I need something to the point of reference.
Right.
For the sake of the arc, I need something on record.
You said it.
And I'm saying they can flip the script on you. That's what
a person can say they're gonna be faithful and cheat on you. But I need something on record.
Cole,
and you said my mama could come live with us.
But now, because some dementia patients are better than others.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So some you may have until they bring, and that's the truth, because some people both parents have had dementia. So they take in the one, and the one is they like, I know what we discussed, but babe, I can't do this, and especially the woman Cole, because we're the ones that's typily doing y'all man just
Wait a minute. No, we're not having that kind of.
No. My dad.
Number 4.
No, real quick. I'm about to praise you in a minute. You might want to hold on and listen to this. But my dad lived with us for 3 years, and I had to thank my husband seriously for putting up with my dad because my dad was a handful. I love him, but he was a handful, and my husband was so good with him and gracious that I had to thank him like. You're amazing because I don't know.
That's good.
Your dad, I'd be at a deal. Just saying.
See how it worked on there?
He seriously.
That's why I want to have a conversation. Right there. Case in point. I need to be able to at least say you said.
I would have been guilty into doing. I would have felt.
I need to be able to make a liar out of you.
But look, no, I would have had to do it just because he did it for me. I would have just had to.
Bitter.
No. See, I'm a little different.
What he tolerated.
Listen, there've been folk who I wanted to take in. My mother, for instance, she said, no, I want to stay with my brother. All right, we cool. It was cool. And my hands off. You had a room. You had a nice, pretty much a place where you can hang out. Neighbors take you down to the center. You want to hang out? No,
I
said, I want to be with my brother. I said, okay, knock yourself out. But it is what it is.
And how could I say no?
In my opinion, I think she would have been better off, but I can't make that decision.
I agree.
Even with that, and I'll close here with this, because when we did take in close that, I knew what I was getting into.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know, I didn't even know.
No, I knew because and not to get too deep into it. I know her dad was a little street too.
Okay.
And because I come from that element, I understood the streets a little bit. He and I had that camaraderie. We had a great relationship. I'll tell you, it was just a relationship that really, I'll say this, it was truly a man-to-man relationship.
Okay.
That's what it was. You just didn't, no holds bars. We talked to each other crazy and the whole, without cussing, of course, but
go ahead. You can find a man that will be okay with taking care of your dad. I mean, if it comes to that. Again, I never thought my dad would have to come live with us. And the fact that God just worked it out to where he was fine. Rick was like, yeah, that's fine. We had an extra room and that it just worked out.
Right.
We had our bumps in the road. Don't get me wrong. And I was ready to go. I was like, I'm ready to go. So we finally got him set up in his own place and then we moved. But I think I was ready before he was.
That's something I talk about with men being more logical thinkers and women being emotional feelings. Right. Like at this point, Rick, he's already thought it through. Yeah. And with him he's made a decision.
Right.
Yeah. Now, because of that decision, how he feels doesn't have as much bearing.
Say that.
As it would without it being a committed decision he's made.
And what you said, Hosea, you said a mouthful, because the fact of the matter is, I felt like pretty much throw him off the field at that time.
I already know.
There were times, oh my God.
I hear y'all.
So there was a lot of times we dealt with that, but
it was we came home one time, my dad decorated the whole house for Christmas. My husband was so upset.
It was July. It was July.
It was December. It just was
July. We got snowmen. Santa Claus.
It was July. It was probably November. Maybe Christmas wasn't here yet.
It wasn't nowhere near.
It was July, hon. I ain't gonna say July.
I come home from work.
A little bit ahead of time, but it wasn't July.
It was close. It wasn't close to Christmas.
September.
But he didn't particularly care for his
It was Rocktober, because it was, let me tell you.
It was Rocktober.
Rocktober. It was something. Hosea, come on, could you not? We lived in an apartment right here in Hawthorne, and come up with Ty coming from work. I think I had picked her up or something like that. And we're coming in the door, and my father-in-law is laying on the couch. He says, "Hey, son-in-law," and I look up, and I see the lights all around the living room.
And he thought he did something nice. See?
And I just looked, and Lord's my witness. I just looked at Colette. I just walked to my room. And I just dealt with it. So we celebrated, Christmas for the last 4 months.
Y'all celebrated Christmas for the 4th of July?
It was hilarious, man. But we say that, but the truth of the matter is, this is what you deal with, guys. When you come in, your parents are staying with you, and it's inevitable. If you're in like your late 30s, 40s, you start pretty much seeing that where they need the help.
Right. And that's a different phase of life, because when we're in our 20s, we didn't think nothing about having to take care of our parents. It's like we got married at 25 and 26.
Right.
But now 26 years later,
Yeah.
The whole dynamic of our relationship has changed. The things you gotta the whole, things you gotta consider that you never had to consider. Death.
That's true.
Grief.
That's true.
And like you said, everybody handles that differently.
Yeah.
And that can change the dynamic. So yeah, Pastor Jose, I agree. Try to get as much out in the beginning as possible. As much money as you spend on the dress and on the reception and on the food. Get the proper counseling.
Right.
To get as much on the table as possible, because you will have those unexpected events.
You will.
Oh goodness!
Like
y'all ready for it? You unmarried people, y'all ready for these unexpected?
My late wife didn't know she was gonna go from being the mother of one to raising three within 3 months after we got married.
Did y'all talk about that before you married her? Nope. So what if she said no? Then what?
She had to go.
He don't mean that.
I know.
We only got a short time. Let's go.
All right. Okay, guys. Okay, is there anything in your past that could potentially, this is good, derail or upset our future? This goes back to how much of your past do you supposed to tell?
That's exactly what
good question. Especially when you're getting married at my age. Woo, child, we've done some stuff. How much do you tell? And I've talked to a lot of women. A lot of women don't like to tell about the body count. They're like, that's none of your business.
That's very important.
To you men, because y'all can't handle it.
No, so that's not why. That's not why.
Why? Why, Rick?
Look, when a woman gives her body count, specifically being a young woman, listen, who you want to marry, that comes into play. Let me tell you why. Nothing worse than you walking in the mall.
Not the mall.
The mall. And you see, and she's like, oh, hey, girl, I haven't seen you. Hey. And it's like, hey, who's that? Oh, he's just a friend. And all of a sudden, 20 feet from him, somebody else.
Well, what about the guy?
That's different. Moving on. That's different.
You are dismissed. You are dismissed. That's why women lie, Rick.
It's different.
That's why they lie. That's why they lie. That is exactly because of what you said is why.
Because the truth of the matter is, women are supposed to be in society's eyes.
We don't care about society.
I know, obviously, but the point is, I said, let's just forget society. The Lord's eyes. They're not supposed to have all these men unless they're a prostitute.
The men too.
Listen, if somebody told me,
Pastor, jump in and correct him.
I used to do them things. That was my past. I got it's up, it's a wrap. But if you tell me that you did it for free, there's a problem.
You doing it for free? What a double standard!
I think you need to know the person that you're with.
Yeah.
And how they, because we were very honest about everything when we met. So my thing is, it's not too much that will come up in my past that he don't already know. And that comes with communication. And we were comfortable with sharing our past. I mean, we both kind of have crazy backgrounds in one way or another. So I think, it just depends who you're with and what they can handle. I don't know.
Now I get when you're younger, Colette, but you shouldn't have that much. But when you're older,
no, you're older. That's different.
Sandra, it doesn't matter your age.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter your age. We've all
so it doesn't matter if you 20 with 70 guys, as opposed to if you 50 with 70 guys.
Well, I mean, you've had a longer.
Talking about
accumulate, but it's more than just body count. It's you just may have some tricky things in your pants that you got to share. That's a lot. Yeah, that's over.
Mary, what are you doing? Come on.
That's expensive. But you lived on this earth longer. You're probably gonna have more partners, sure. But
Colette, even if you're pretty much in your 50s, your number should never be 70.
No, I agree.
How many guys' numbers that's 30s, that's in the hundreds?
Yeah, well, there's some athletes, entertainers. That's their numbers. Yeah.
It's some regular Nicole, some of these regular dudes out
Regular
here. These
people
are
got
some
those kind
regular
of
people.
numbers.
These young kids, they gonna have some numbers on them.
Here's
No,
where I think the
Man.
clause in the
Go ahead.
question
Okay.
Yes, sir.
that identifies everything. Here's the clause. Because as it relates to body count, I already know to multiply whatever you told me by 5 anyway. So.
You know what?
I was very honest. You don't need to
I'm
multiply
honest
mine.
too.
I was very
Look,
honest.
Thank you,
Look,
Sharice.
I'm over
Thank you,
30 by
Sharice.
college. So watch the clause in the question.
Y'all count, Wayne. The men do count. Yeah, they count. The women.
Well,
are-
if you got 70, you probably missed a few. I'm saying. I ain't gonna say you didn't know that.
Ah.
You're right. You probably missed a few in between because that is a lot.
You missed
Then
it.
them drunk nights that you don't remember what happened.
Here's the clause in the question that determines everything.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What is it?
Is there anything in your past that could potentially derail,
Yes.
upset our future? That's the key. The key is, am I gonna be at work one day and while we on break? The woman say, "Did your wife used to be called Delicious?" I said, "No."
No, brother.
Show.
Or Hosea.
Do your wife have a lion tattoo on her left thigh?
Not a lion.
Hey, dude, what you trying to say, man? You've been, man. I'm just at.
I'm just saying. I was just.
Your wife ever used to be an actress that wasn't in Hollywood?
You men really say that
Hey,
though.
bro, no, what you trying to say, man? He think your wife was a porn star, man. You know, my wife. You crazy? My wife ain't never been woo 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 woo.
And he showed you the video.
This ain't your wife.
That's it. Hosea,
Now,
look.
you ever lost your job? You done left work, ain't clock out. you on the highway doing 100. You like that is not a way you should find out that kind of information about your spouse.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Now, watch this. If they were dating and they serious and they was talking and she's like, back, when I was in my 20s, I made some very questionable decisions. Da da da. Now he said, because why? You want to tell him that because you don't know if he can handle it. Whoever can't handle my past ain't qualified for my future.
Right.
That's
So
good.
now, when you tell him what for real, well, he may have a hard time digesting it,
Yeah.
but he got time to digest it.
Yeah.
But if he decided to continue this relationship,
Yeah.
you know what? I've done some things too. I've never been on television and
Yeah.
upload it, but I said, now watch this. Now here, 10 years later, when this conversation happened, was your wife ever named Delicious? Bro, my wife, man, back in her 20s, bro, yeah, she had some things when she was in college. Woo, 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 woo. But yeah,
Right.
man, that girl come a long way, man. God's really delivered her. But yeah, there was a time.
If
Hey,
you-
how did you know about that? Man, she told me. Y'all talked about that? Yeah, man, we talked
But
about
here's,
that when we first
now
met.
here's a live one for you right here.
Now, this just lesson that blows so much
Right.
to where you save him from the level of embarrassment
Right.
that he would have. Now, some people gonna feel some type of way, but it's a different level when he can stand boldly and tell you what you think you finna expose to him.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
All right.
Let me share this real quick.
Yeah,
This is the live.
yes.
This is the live situation, really quick. This is my cousin Wayne. He just said this. Now, keep in mind, his right. And he said, now that right there, and I remember when he told me. And he said, so, in saying this, listen,
Mhm.
and I commend him because,
Mhm.
my cousin Wayne, I've known him, of course, majority of my life. And he stayed. I seen him go through. When I say for better, for worse, that was it right there. And
Wow.
he stayed. Yeah. So to tell you that there are men who stick to their word, they do what they got to do, and so forth. That he will do it. He did what he had to do. And I said, it's a men who will stick it out. And the thing is, he found out again 4 years into his marriage.
Wow.
So to let you know that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. This type of stuff does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Anticipate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
All right, number
does
5.
What charities do you or would you like to support? Okay.
I don't even like that.
Grace,
No.
did you set these questions?
No, I'm
Yes.
going to tell you why this question right here, because I know this to happen.
Okay.
I saw this happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, watch this. We married. We going not my marriage, but we people, 2 people married. They living their life. They da 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 da. Like, what? Hey, did you take the account? I think some fraudulent stuff happening. What do you mean?
Okay.
Somebody some in Ethiopia. No, babe. That was, we got my income tax. Yeah, I've always wanted to look out for kids in Africa. That's always bothered me, and I always wanted God to bless me to be able to do it. Now, here's where the problem comes. I've been married to you 10 years. You ain't never brought up nothing about no kids in Africa. When all of a sudden, this is your mission in life. Yeah, I'm trying to book us a ticket for next year. I want to go. Go where? Yeah, I mean, now we're dealing with something that one person feels is their destiny, their calling. And here the other, not like it's a bad calling, but I've been married to you all this time. This is my first time hearing about this. Well, now you booking plans and sending $1,000 and all of this. You're wrong. Not wrong for what's in your heart to do.
Yeah.
You're wrong for never communicating that. How am I finding out like this right now? And this is back to where I'm talking about. Where are you going? What's your future look like? Because everybody that fit into your present ain't necessarily qualified for your future.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I think that's what happens in marriage a lot. We marry what's good for us on this level. But when you don't know where you're headed, this is one of the reasons so many people get divorced. Because when they really begin to finally discover themselves, they realize you're not really good for me in where I'm going, because they didn't take time to discover where they were going before they asked somebody to go with them. And I see this too often. It breaks my heart.
Oh, wow. So, hey, Raquel.
Good to see you.
Okay, what's the next one?
All right, let's go. Got a couple more minutes.
What do you believe to be our gender roles, if any? That's good. So do I have to cook, or do you take out the garbage? Do you mow the lawn?
That's not a gender role.
Well, what are you talking about?
That
then?
is not a gender
Yeah,
role.
because that stuff has changed over time. I mean, we especially this new generation, where the more we're counseling couple, more men are cooking, women are not. I mean, that is all out the window. Now, as far as you and your house, you can run it however you want, but everybody's is different. Especially if both people are working. Those type of roles. Now I know, Rick, when you were getting ready to say something else though, other than like.
No, I was going to say just on. And I'll use us as an example. When we, Cole did a line of cooking in the beginning for the first, I don't know.
After COVID, I was done. After COVID,
that's right.
I was tired of cooking.
Come on now.
I lost 200 pounds. I lost 200 pounds during COVID.
No, we actually gained during COVID. That's the problem. That's the problem.
No, so we pretty much, and she made it very clear, I think I'm tired of cooking. I said, okay. She did. So I took it upon myself. I said, okay, I'm going to step up and make some meals that, we can both enjoy. Because she'll make some, Southern dishes. And I'm like, I mean.
He doesn't like grits. That's what he's trying to say. Nothing with
grits. You don't like grits?
Can you not bring, wait a minute. This is not a counseling session for us.
You put cheese in them.
I love it all kind of ways. Cheese grits.
We got 4 minutes. So what happened was, but in all sincerity, we just had those roles. So since we are pretty much, there are times when Cole, hey, I don't feel like working. Okay. If you like bologna with no cheese.
Bologna salad. Did you fry it?
You could.
At least.
But when you work, we can eat bologna. No, I'm joking. We can eat meal. Right.
It's not that I don't feel like working. It's a work transition. I'm transitioning.
All right, work transition. Let's say that.
Hey, let me say that because I know I'm finna have to get off of here.
Yeah.
True story. Because and at least it's about conversations that should be had before we get married.
Absolutely.
Right? So what are agenda supposed to be? I'm marrying these people a week from this counseling session I'm in with them.
Mm-hmm.
They get married next weekend. This is my last session with them.
Yeah.
Talking to say something. So who's gonna do most of the who's responsible for the cooking in the house with the family? Because I think they had children already. Family. He said she is at the same time she was saying we are. They get married next weekend. They get married next weekend. I say, well, who's taking the trash out? He's saying we are at the same time she's saying he is.
Wow.
These are the type of stuff we was running into. Y'all get married next week.
Yeah, they should have.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying. People are doing so much.
Yeah, we do. We do.
I'm done.
All right, guys, we got 2 more minutes. Let's go. Do we need to continue next week? Do we need a part 3?
Why not? Part 3. Let's go. Part 3.
Too many questions, man. This is too good and too juicy.
We got to name it something else. We got to go.
Right, before I do.
Questions. All right, guys.
Hey, but next week is after I'm done.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Hit me up at ZandraSWilson@yahoo.com for the message in the bottles. And also, if you want to come on our show, come on our show. We would love to have you.
We would love to have you.
Anything we can, you don't want to reveal your face, if you want to just talk, whatever, we will love to have you. Your live comments, your live commentary, whatever you would have, we're here to help you, help us help you. So guys, I guess we're just going to pick this up next week, and Janine should be back. Woo, I'm so excited.
All right.
Next time.
Yes, I say thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being on me. Thank you.
Maybe we can steal her back for next week. We can bring her back next week. Okay, bye.
Okay, cool. Bye, guys.